It's done. Now we're recording. Now it's official. Now my internet can break. Can I call you Jackie? We've never.
Yes, please.
Jackie. Jackie, thank you for taking time out of your Saturday. I myself have a meatloaf in the oven. There's a chicken meatloaf.
Oh, nice.
So hopefully that doesn't burn. But
I had to kick the whole family out of the house because.
Did you really? I left my son downstairs. My wife.
You never know what's going to happen if they're in the house. So it's easier if they're just not in the house.
Can you
it's more predictable when they're not in the house.
Because I was just reading about new California lockdowns.
Yes. Well, they're outside. They're, in the neighborhood somewhere outside.
Okay.
We can do that. We can leave the house.
Okay.
Can't go. We can't do anything once we're out of the house.
Right.
We can walk around.
All right. Yeah. Oh yeah. We have taken so many neighborhood walks in the last 10 months. My son, who again is 3, has identified all of the fire hydrants in the neighborhood as they all have a special.
They're his new friends.
That's it. And it's so sad because he can't hang out with other kids, so they pretty much are. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're lucky. We live in Pacifica, so there's so many natural spots to just go and hike and be out in nature.
Yeah.
I think we're really fortunate in that way. But yeah, a lot of outdoor walks.
Yeah. And that's cool. We're straight up New Jersey suburb. So there's a hill over there. There's a hill he can walk up and does.
And that's about it. Oh,
that's
sorry.
A little pond here and there, but whatever. Yeah. Well, I'm glad they can at least go outside.
Yeah.
Want to talk to you about Mother's Weavers Vultures.
Yep.
I want to ask everything. I want to know everything about this record.
Shoot, fire away.
Let's start at the beginning. Tell me about the very opening intro piece, the cello intro to Diablo. Mm-hmm. Let's start there.
So that, the intro to that, well, first let's start by just saying Max has a whole different tuning for this album than past albums. So he has a very special tuning for his guitar in general for Grayceon, but this album, he changed his tuning. So everything kind of had this sort of Irish-y vibe to it naturally because of this tuning. Okay. And so I wrote that as an intro, and it kind of sounds like bagpipes to me. I think it's just one of those things that I think it just inspired me from what Max was writing and what he was doing with his tuning inspired me to write that intro. And then we decided to put that intro on that song because we knew that was going to be the first song on the album. And our last album started with a solo guitar. So in a way, it's sort of my turn to open the album. Yeah.
What was behind him changing the tuning like that? Was it anything particular or just?
No, it was just Max being bored. He is very prolific, so he writes a lot and he plays a lot without us. He'll just sit in his room and play every night. And I think, it was probably just boredom and wanting to change it up, wanting to do something different. And I think it's fun for him to kind of change it up. And then he's got to figure out how to write riffs and do things a little slightly differently. So I think it's fun for him to give himself that challenge. And then, Max, Zach and I didn't really find out about that until he was just like, oh, hey, here's some new stuff I've been writing. By the way, it's all in this different tuning, which ended up I didn't have to retune my cello for it, which was good. But yeah, it definitely changes the sound just a little bit.
That's interesting because, there was something that I couldn't quite put my shoulder disappear there. There was something that I know, the no green screen. I couldn't quite put my finger on that's different about it, but I bet that must be it. Okay.
That might be it.
Of course, the first I guess the first three songs really
Mhm.
deal with California wildfires. What is it? 2018 was
2018, 2019, and
this
honestly
year. Yeah.
2020. Yeah, it's like every year for the last 3 years have been just hitting
Records on top of
new
records.
heights, you know, in terms of the numbers and the acreage is burned and how many fires, and it's bad.
Can you tell me about, was there one moment where you were like, how do I deal with this? I need, and that's, and you kind of realized that's how it needs to be, how you were going to process it was through writing about it.
Um, I don't think there was a moment in particular, but definitely. So this year was probably the worst year of wildfires. We had already written that song when that happened this year, but we had written the song last year when the air quality was just so bad. We had to wear masks. There were days when we weren't even going to work because it was so bad.
Yeah, we had the smoke out here from the
Yeah.
fire on the other side.
So it was definitely the forefront of my mind as something that I wanted to write about because it was affecting us. It was affecting our day-to-day life. So everybody knows, well, maybe not everybody knows, but there is an environmental crisis happening, and I think people talk about it, but it doesn't affect people's day-to-day life. Oh, that's going to happen in the
Except
future
when
if we
it
keep go.
does,
I
right?
know that's just going to happen in the future when we've like gotten it so bad, and
That's the
then we have
worst.
no
It's
ozone
already
left, etc. But we're living in the future right now. We're
and
seeing
then
it.
yes, when they're running out of names for fucking storms.
When they're
Yes.
running out of names for storms, when we're having to wear masks to leave the house because we can't breathe the air. Um,
Yes.
yeah, we're living it. So it definitely was, the fires, and particularly in California, and also just like the weather, right? The weather is what is making these fires happen in January, which is like, not when you're supposed to be having wildfires. And also the weather is what's making all the storms and hurricanes and stuff
Yeah.
take place in unpredictable times during the year.
Right.
So it's just in the forefront because it's forefront of my mind because now it actually is affecting our day-to-day life.
Because the future has arrived.
The future has arrived, basically.
It's so terrifying.
But where's my hoverboard? We still don't have
Right. We have
hoverboards.
Did you grow up in California?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to tell you a story about growing up in New Jersey real quick. And it's about hoverboards because when Back to the Future Part 2 came out in 1987, the story was California had hoverboards.
Oh.
That was it. And hoverboards existed. And they were in California. And that was what, like, they said in my second grade class. And they were
Lies.
Yeah.
Fake news.
It was. It was. You know what? A lot of the news in second grade is fake news.
Yeah. Fake news. I recently watched all of those with my older daughter, and they still stand up. They're really good movies. But yeah, it's that sort of like, oh, well, we did some of the stuff is stuff we have. Like, hey, look, we're having a phone conversation on video. That's something that's always been portrayed as this is something of the future, right?
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
I don't look forward to being a hologram. But
yeah.
yeah.
That would be cool. You got to be pretty famous to be a hologram these days, and dead, apparently.
Right. That would probably. I guess I was thinking no. Okay, you're thinking like the Michael Jackson hologram. I was thinking hologram communicators. Too much Star Trek. I'm sorry.
Oh, Star Wars.
Yeah, too much. Help me, Obi-Wan. Yeah. Help me, Obi-Wan. It's environmental disaster. See, it all ties in. Isn't that nice?
It all ties in.
How? Okay, balance of despair, right?
Yeah.
And hope really struck me in the lyrics, right? Because the album for me kind of goes in two parts. You have the first three songs and then the last two.
Yep.
And the last two strike this forcefully hopeful note, right? And Shine On and Rock Steady. and you know, maybe I'm projecting here, but it sounds to me, especially in And Shine On, like you're speaking to a child, speaking as a mother. Can you talk about that a little bit? Can you talk about the sort of dichotomy between those two sides of the record?
Yeah. Well, first, I do want to mention that the first 3 records, and I hope they don't come across as this because I didn't want it to. The first 3 songs, I didn't want to sound like I'm on my soapbox saying, oh, this is what we should be doing. It's more of just an observation of like, oh, you know, look at this kind of mess we're in. But the last 2 songs, I don't know. I feel like we can only do what we can do. We can only try to be better, and try to love each other and try to do what we can, I guess. I'm not sure that we're doing as much as we should be doing to prevent, you know, the catastrophe that we're basically living in right now, and will get worse. Especially, you know, you think about the future of your child that's 3, and you know, my daughters. Who knows what kind of world they're going to live in when they're our age. And I hope that we can find a way out of it. But certainly we should be making the best of it and doing what we can at this point, because it's already kind of too late to really reverse. And we can only do things to prevent it from getting worse, but we can't really reverse what we've already done. And yeah, I would hope that we can, as humanity and as people, you know, we can treat each other better, and treat Mother Earth better. So there's a little bit of hope towards the end of the record. I think those last 2 songs are can be seen as very personal in terms of who I'm talking to, but they can also be seen as, you know, I'm speaking to Mother Nature as well. So there's that relationship of like how we're treating each other as people has kind of not been that great, in the same way that how we've not been treating Mother Nature that great. I don't know if I answered your question.
No. I mean, you raise a valid point. Humanity, consistently awful to each other and everything. But I guess it's sort of switching the voice almost, not like the literal voice, but kind of it's a turn of perspective, sort of, that seems to be more outward looking than inward looking. Not necessarily that you're getting on a soapbox at any point in the record, because I didn't get that vibe from it at all.
Good.
It's not like, yeah, well, you know, I mean, but there is kind of that. If the first 3 songs are sort of making the observation, then the last 2, it's almost as though you're like, well, what do I do with this? Right? Is that your?
Yeah, but also, you know, maybe we deserve what is coming, right? Like there are lyrics that are like, let us fade away, and you know, maybe that is the best, right? To let human kind of fade away, because we're obviously not being responsible to each other or to the earth.
Statistics of air pollution, right? Of greenhouse gas emissions during lockdown, right? When those earlier this year, I'm sure you saw everything went down, and it was like, wow.
If there is a silver lining, right?
Yeah. And then it went right back up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that it's gone back up to how it was before. I mean, people are still like driving way less and doing way less, and but yeah, that was kind of a very small silver lining in this whole thing.
Right. That's it. For example, it was a positive news story from like April, and I mentioned it. So yeah.
Right. We haven't heard about that again since.
No. You take what you could get.
Yeah.
Can you is there any sense of, all right, well, all right, hang on. From All We Destroy to 4 was 7 years, right? And this is right. Well, you had the EP
Yeah.
2013. So, but from album to album was 7 years, and this was
Yes.
this is 2. And I know you had a lot of like life stuff happen, right?
Mhm.
Becoming a parent and that. Can you talk about sort of the quicker turnaround this time? How did it feel? I mean, comparatively, it must have felt like you were right back to it, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, we did have After All We Destroy, we had the EP come out.
Yeah.
And at that point, you know, Pearl was already born, I think, when All We Destroy came out. I can't remember what year that came out, but we had the EP
2011.
come out. Huh?
2011.
Okay, there you go. She was born in 2011. So the EP definitely came out after Pearl was born, and we still were playing shows and writing. And then AJ and I had decided to have another child, and we were having a really hard time. And I had gone through a bunch of bad pregnancies, and I was nearing 40, and it felt like I was kind of using up all the time that I had left to have this second child. So that's when Grayceon had decided to take a little break, and it was unfortunate. 4 was pretty much already written at the point that we decided to take our break. So we took our break, and, you know, Zach and Max are like my best friends. So we obviously were still in communication with each other and still friends. Like, my daughters consider them uncles. Zach is like a total baby whisperer. It's funny. Back when you used to be able to have people over and have parties and stuff, we'd always wonder, like, where's Zach? And, you know, sure enough, he's in the girls' room, like playing drums or just playing with them, doing whatever. Like, he's always with the kids. He's a grown-up kid himself. But so they gave me the space I needed. But then when Pepper was born, you know, they gave me about a year after Pepper was born. And then they started going, remember that time when you were saying you wanted a break? So actually what they did was awesome. They went in and recorded those songs that we had already written. And they were like, look what we did, Jackie. Like, will you like finish the record with us, like, as Grayceon? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So, I mean, I already knew the songs. I didn't have vocals written for a good chunk of it. But I went in, I did all the overdubs, the lyrics, etc. And then we released that record like very quickly after. I think I spent like the winter tracking, and then we released it like that following March or May or something. And so by the time 4 came out, we had already started writing this record. So it didn't, yeah, it overlapped. I mean, and that's kind of historically how all of our records have been. Like, by the time the record comes out, we're already playing like new songs live for the next thing, because it just, you know, I don't know. I don't think the songs get old to us, but we just want to kind of keep moving. Yeah, keep moving. So this one in particular seems like it was really quick after the last, but, you know, when the last record came out, we had already been writing this, and also it's December, so it's almost 2021. So you could say it's like, you know, almost 3 years later.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. And then also normally we're steered away from releasing any music in between November and February. Those are, you know, right? Those are like not the months.
Shut down months. Yep.
Not the good months to release new music. And in this case, here we had just finished recording this album. We finished mixing really early in the year, like in March or April. We were pretty much done. And the themes were still so relevant, especially with the California fires, etc. And we were like, you know what? Everyone's at home. Like, I don't think it really matters if we have a record come out in December. Like, we can't play against the new record. We can't play out. We can't do shows. We never really toured against records anyways, or haven't in the last couple albums. So we just said, screw it. We're putting it out as soon as we are able to.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I mean, if the key word for the year is unprecedented, then I think, going
Yeah.
it kind of makes sense. And
Yeah,
frankly,
it's like what rules about releasing music? Well,
that's
and
it.
also I think that so many people are putting their projects on hold through all of the pandemic, or
Mm,
they're delaying their projects to come out later when all this is over. But
yeah,
it's just
exactly.
like, well, when is that going to be?
That's it. There's
You
so much
know?
stuff that that I'm getting press releases for at this point that was like, oh, this was coming out in May and now it's coming out in February. And it's like, well, what the hell is different? Yeah, no, it's terrible. So,
Yeah, so we kind of like just slipped in to like be able to finish our record before the pandemic hit. Like we were already done in the studio. So it made it possible for us to do it, to release it now.
have you, I mean, obviously been in lockdown all year. Uh, have you guys started writing? Is there any?
No, we had started to get back together and play. Masked. We have a HEPA filter in the studio. And I think we ended up only getting like maybe 3 or 4 practices in. And there were some new riffs flying around. But nothing really too concrete. And now we haven't been practicing now for the last month. Max is a nurse. He works in a hospital. So he works as a surgery nurse. But when things get crazy at the hospital, he'll get asked to move over into the COVID patients. So he was really hesitant to even start practices with us again. But we managed to convince him to do it, and we were being really safe about it. Our practices were like an hour and a half, and that's it. We had the HEPA filters. I wasn't singing. We were masked. It seemed like it was relatively safe, and it seemed like something that we needed to do for our mental health. And it was wonderful. But now we haven't played. Like we're back in the state of things how it was at the beginning. And Max is just, he's unsure and uncertain and doesn't want to get anybody sick, and I appreciate that. So
Yeah.
no new songs, no new music yet.
Yes. Well, I mean, that's fine. I think the record came out yesterday, so
It hasn't even come out yet.
next week. Yeah,
It comes out on the 18th.
18th. Okay,
Maybe
2
we
weeks.
can write a new song before the 18th.
Yeah, there you go. Get to work. Damn. Wow. Working as a nurse. My mother-in-law, my wife's mother, was was a nurse in New York for years, for God, 30 some odd years, and retired maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And
Okay.
it's like, whew.
No, there were a lot of people just straight up retiring in March because it's like,
Yeah.
well, I was going to retire in a couple of years, but now I'm going to do it. I mean, that's what is kind of the most devastating to me, is to see the people that are working on the front lines
Yeah.
getting ill and dying of this. It's like, oh my God, they're not getting anything extra.
No.
They're not getting like ahead in life by doing this for everybody else. So yeah, dodged your family
Yeah.
dodged a bullet there.
Yeah. Yeah. Feels that way a little bit. And which is awful to even say, but it's true. I mean, considering there are people out there doing it. Anyway. This was a fun, right? A fun little chat. No, okay. My son, Joe, I'll say that. He's a big Yo-Yo Ma fan.
Oh yeah.
He is. He can identify the cello. At 3, which is, I'm like, yeah, kid. He has his drum kit and he drums, and he has his little guitar. He does not have a little cello. Those are hard to come by for some reason.
Yeah, a little half. Well, God, his size. I
Yeah.
started on a half size cello, which is pretty small. But I mean, I wasn't 3. I was in like 3rd grade. So.
But he knows Yo-Yo Ma. We watched the NPR Tiny Desk concert, and I showed him a Grayceon video.
Oh, cool.
And he was like enthralled by cello and drums and guitar all happening at the same time. Because he was like,
Nice.
drums. And I was like, yeah, I know. That guy's really good. And like guitar. And I was like, I know. And so on. What cellist would you recommend I play for a 3-year-old who already likes Yo-Yo Ma?
Gosh, I wouldn't even know. I'm so bad. I don't even really follow much of the classical musicians these days. But you know, Yo-Yo Ma's, I grew up, he was like my favorite. His personality too is just like, he's kind of like meant to be a teacher, or just like he's meant to be put on a pedestal by kids. He's so sweet and gentle and so good. Do you follow him on Instagram?
Yes.
Yeah, because he's doing a lot of cool live performances with other musicians on Instagram Live. And I've been pretty just impressed by, wow, okay, he's like doing cool stuff. You know, it's like you're just kind of making lemonade. Everyone's making lemonade out of lemons right now. So yeah, I'm sorry. I hope I'm not disappointing you, but I don't really have a cellist to point you at. But Yo-Yo Ma's a good one to watch.
Yeah, well, that's yeah, kind of how I wound up. But, so a lot of that around lately, and songs about trucks. So you know, change it up a little.
Yeah.
Thank you again for taking the time, and you know, I always like to end interviews by asking about, oh, what's next? What's the future going to bring? When's the tour? I know Grayceon doesn't really tour.
Yeah, I mean, but we like to try to do a little run out stuff. Like we'll go up to the Northwest. We were supposed to play, oh God, I can't even think of the name of it. We were supposed to play a metal festival last May, Terror Fest, in Seattle. It was obviously canceled, but then the whole bill is like moved to be next May. And now that is kind of looking to be very close into the future for some reason, even though that is 7 months away. I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen either. And just, we had already not been to the Northwest for a really long time. So it's sad that, yeah, we can't play, but just is what it is.
Yeah. No, it's just you guys anyway. It's not like it's the whole world. It's just.
Well, and also like I don't know. I've been watching other musicians doing a lot of live streams and, you know, trying to figure out how to like reach their audience and play shows. And I've just been not that into watching that kind of stuff. So I'm like, it doesn't have the same.
Oh, no.
It doesn't give me the same satisfaction that going to a show would give. So I have a sort of, because I feel that way as a concert goer, I'm like, I don't know if Grayceon wants to do a stream. It seems like, who's going to be there? Who's going to care? So, I don't think the boys are really that into it either. So.
That's fair. Okay. I would totally watch that stream. I'm just saying.
You would watch that stream? Okay. You got one person on the list. Write that down.
I would totally watch that stream. I'm just being honest.
Yeah. I have seen some bands record like. Oh, go ahead.
I know what you're saying, because I have come to feel the same way, and I've watched a bunch of streams because I really, really miss
it. Yeah.
It's a major part of my life, you know. It's fun. You know, and I have, you know, I've watched a good number of them at this point, and you're right. You know,
you're right. They're not that great.
They're grasping at straws, and it's like, oh, that's live music that's happening somewhere, maybe, or it's prior filmed and just streaming. Hey,
I can't remember which band it was, but I saw some just like, hey, we're recording while we're like practicing. And like, that is more fascinating to me, because it's like, oh, they're just like riffing on this one song over and over, or they're just like jamming. I don't know. It seems a little 100%. More interesting.
100%. I agree. I watched a band from Virginia, and it was the same thing. It was just like one camera, fly on the wall in their rehearsal space while they were ripping through a couple songs and working on stuff. And I was like, that's
yeah.
You know, at least that way you're seeing a process.
Yeah.
It's
So
like,
I think Grayceon could maybe be persuaded to do something like that, but we'd have to get to a point where we can like sing in our practice space.
right.
I mean, there's still this like, how fun would that be just watching us play and having no vocals? And I don't know, maybe it would be interesting, but um, I don't know. We'll see. It seems like I could maybe convince the boys to do something like that, but we don't really have any interest in doing streams, so
No,
we'll just wait until this is all over.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, okay.
But I'm going to mark you down as someone who would come to a show.
Please.
I have my posties here.
Yes.
I'm going to put one little tick mark there.
Can I tell you something terrible?
What?
I was trying to put together a show for next year in San Francisco, and have you guys, and I wanted to have you guys play All We Destroy.
Oh, yeah, it'd be so fun. I think we actually played that whole album at our record release. Yeah. For that album. I mean, it's a long time ago. And I think we really struggled playing Sleep, but we managed to do it. That's the only, actually, is that the only time we've ever played that song? Oh, wait, no, Sleep was from another one. What's the long song from All We Destroy? Is there a long song on that?
Yes, we can.
Oh, we can. Oh, we play We Can live all the time. Wait, there's one song that's hard on that one. Oh, the last song that has the pedal steel.
Yes.
That song, we managed to like just cobble through it because we were like, how are we going to play this live? Like Max can't play guitar and play the pedal steel. I think we did it with a sample, but we'd be game for that if you invited us to when this is all over.
Yeah, when this is all.
Were you going to do a live show?
Huh? I was. Yeah.
We're going to book a live
show. That was the discussion.
Who else was on the bill?
Oh, bands.
Bands.
There were bands. Bands on a bill or a show. That isn't going to happen.
Do you think that we're ever going to be doing that again? Like ever? I mean,
I don't think it's ever going to be. I don't think it's ever going to be the same, especially for people like of our generation.
Yeah.
I don't think that I'm never going to look at going into a crowded room with people the same way again. No.
Yeah.
I'm just never going to do it. I think what you're going to see is a big shift in, at least for, like a step in sort of things opening up again, a big shift in capacity, right? And what was like a 250 cap room now becomes 75, 100.
So really expensive tickets.
Really expensive.
Hard to get tickets.
Yep. Really expensive. Hard to get tickets. Tours doing three stops in a city. 3 nights in a row in a city.
3 nights in a row in a city. That's kind of cool.
Which, well, it's cool if you.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
It makes your tour a lot longer.
That's it.
Or a lot less small cities. Or we need to start investing in those bubbles that what band was doing that?
Yes, the bubbles.
Was that you too? Who was doing the bubbles?
I don't know.
Oh, I can't remember.
I saw it.
Muse? Oh, I can't remember. But yeah, everybody had their own bubble. It was kind of, I don't know if I'd like that any more than watching a
stream.
Watching a stream. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the things that used to get me really excited about being at a live show, like I love being in the front. I love like other people sweat on me, like just, you know what I mean? Like the performers, just being a part of the performers, being, right. On stage performing, not necessarily specifically their sweat. But yeah, it's like now it's like, oh no. No. Even when I'm watching a movie or something, I'm like, oh no, don't shake their hand.
You look at like old footage of a baseball game or something. It's like, oh my God, there's people sitting next to each other. Yeah. No, see, like, I don't think our generation's ever going to feel the same way. It's like my mother used to talk about the Depression, and she, for the rest of her life, hid money in her mattress, right?
Like it changed her. It changed the whole way she thought about money. That's
it. It's that kind of, like, sort of grand scale mass trauma that like my kid, I'm hopeful my kid, doesn't remember. I hope, by the time he's really like forming lifelong memories, this is at least somewhat a thing of the past. But like, but for adults, yeah, I don't think like, I don't think people who are adults now are ever going to be completely like they were before.
Yeah.
Even if that's just like, I'm sick and I'm wearing a mask in public now,
Right.
forever. So yeah, I don't know.
Man, I hope that
But it would be nice
I
to go.
hope we can have shows
It would be
at
nice
some
to go.
point in some way. Yeah.
That yeah, I keep seeing there are a few sporadic things happening in Europe, and I'm like, oh my god, that's
I see an ad. I'll see a band post something about some tour or something they're doing. I'm just like, wait, what? You're
yeah,
playing shows? Like, is this happening somewhere? And I like, yeah, I'm just so far from it. And
yeah,
we as a country are so far
yeah.
from it.
We're just long, long, long way to go.
Well, and sad that you'd actually have to like put yourself at a lot of risk to go to Europe, to go to any of those shows.
Wait, and
So
also said that by like getting on a plane, you're putting other people at risk. Like going to Europe, you're putting Europe at risk, and now Europe is a mess again.
don't put Europe at risk. Stay at
Yeah,
home.
stay home. Stay home.
Stay at home.
Watch
Watch
the stream.
unsatisfying streams.
Your record's great.
Thank you so much.
No, I think I keep playing it. That's
That's awesome. We want you to keep
yeah, I
playing it.
So I keep playing it. So thank you for that. That's a help. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna go check on my meatloaf.
Okay. Enjoy.
Let me stop the recording.
Okay.
So let me say thank you one more time, and now I'm stopping the recording. Here we go.
Thank you.